trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter. Get the value you need and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. JACALYN at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. You're watching or listening to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK. I'm the president, founder, and chief listening officer here at our network, where we have on average 29 live global broadcasts. Our show today is Aging Gracefully with Humor. And if you are looking forward to a program filled with insights, positivity, and some laughs, you have come to the right place. We have a fabulous guest who is joining us today. Her name is Susan Goldfein, and she's an award-winning humor writer. And who doesn't want more humor in their life? As we get older, we know it's not pleasant. This is here, now it's there. I don't remember. Why am I in this room? All kinds of things happen to us, and we just start questioning it. We get angry. We get down. Let's have some laughs. Let's look at it in a completely different perspective. Welcome to the show, Susan. Hello.
Hi. Happy to be here.
So nice to have you here today. Where are you joining us from, Susan?
I happen to be in Manhattan right now, New York City.
Wow. I love Manhattan. How is it there right now?
It's happens to be a beautiful, beautiful fall day, and my window overlooks Central Park, and I can see the foliage, and I'm having my own special autumn treat here. Yeah.
Well, congratulations. It sounds fantastic. I love Manhattan, especially in the fall. I haven't been there in a few years, but perspective and environment really do have an impact on how we look at things, don't they?
They absolutely do. There's an energy where you are, and it's either, works for you or not, or against you. But definitely.
Yeah. Susan, I really appreciate what you shared with me backstage. You have a whole career before you got into what you're doing now, which is really bringing light to things that scare us half to death. It's like, oh my goodness, nobody told me. I didn't get the manual to expect all these things. So I'm going to spotlight you, and I would love for you to share with our audience a little bit about your background. You know a lot about the aging process from having helped other people. Tell us more.
Yeah, it was once upon a time, it was me and them. Now I'm one of them. But yes, I worked for many years as a speech pathologist, as a clinician. And the population, the people hear speech pathologist, they think of, working with kids with lisps and stutters. And that's all very valid, but that wasn't where I wound up. I wound up, my choice, working with what I considered then older adults who had communication problems due to neurological disorders such as stroke, Parkinson's disease, ALS. And eventually I got very interested in what happens to language and communication when somebody acquired a dementing illness. So I don't know why I was very fascinated with that aspect of it, but I was, and wound up getting my doctorate, and with my dissertation being on communication and Alzheimer's disease. My milieu at that time was happy places like rehab centers, nursing homes, assisted living, memory care units, family support groups, worked as a consultant with the New York City Alzheimer's Association. So yeah, for a lot of years, I was just very immersed in that area.
Susan, thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you so much for helping all the people whom you've helped. What would you say were some of the key takeaways from the patients you work with in terms of their frame of mind, in terms of how they looked at the future?
Well, it depended really on, I guess, what stage of the illness they were at. People who were recently diagnosed and still had a lot of cognitive awareness, you, they were rarely able to talk about their problems and their outlook for the future. And and that was a whole different ball game than working with people who were further along in the illness. But my takeaway was that even someone who was quite advanced, somewhere in there, they knew that something was horribly wrong, and there was a sadness and a fright about what they were going through that would reveal itself from time to time. And everybody's temperament is different. There is not one type of person who has Alzheimer's or another kind of dementia. They prior personalities and disposition feed into how one responds to the disease. But it's really important to, as I say, live in the moment. And if you could bring a smile to somebody's face in that time that you're with them, then you've done a good deed.
Absolutely. I agree with you. And then you turned to your second career of writing, and you've written about a number of things to help people who are going through these changes in life. I know that there's some hardware store items you're going to talk about, and people start wandering, people get confused. But if people don't have a diagnosis of dementia or Alzheimer's, things happen anyway. I mean, I'm 59 and a half, and my body parts are not where they used to be. It's just, and as I said in the beginning, it's like when you turn 16, you're waiting for somebody to give you the book about what to expect with your body. It's like, we don't expect all these things. You've written about like a lifetime guarantee. Should you sign up for something about that? Tell us how you decided on this second career in writing.
Okay. It was serendipitous. It wasn't something that I planned at all. I retired about 10 years ago. And we made a move to be snowbirds down in Florida. And neither event was something that I really wanted. I didn't want to be retired, and I didn't want to be in Florida. But there I was, and trying to figure out what to do with the rest of my life. And I've worked, maybe a little bit of time off for raising young children, but pretty much worked my whole entire adult life. And there was this tremendous void. And suddenly, I wasn't who I was anymore. And I was just really looking for something to do. And I started going through catalogs, and I found this writing class that sounded interesting. I always liked to write, and I wondered if I still had the stuff. And so I decided to enroll. And it just turned out that whatever our assignments were in terms of what we had to do for the next class, I approached the topics with humor. I just picked the funniest aspect that I could think of and wrote from that perspective. And I got a lot of encouragement from the woman who was running the class. And she said, I think maybe you found your voice. And lo and behold, I started writing these funny essays, and I never stopped. That's basically what happened. So.
Well, congratulations. That is really exciting. And we have actually a comment from Arshana Sharma. And Arshana, I'm trying to remember if you're joining us from India. Please let us know. Greetings. 2 important aspects of aging is being present and being mindful. I assume that's what you mean. So thank you for sharing that with us. So, Susan, when you started down this path, how were you being received by your loved ones and family members? Were they like, oh, this is great, Susan. I'm so glad that you're writing about these things, or why are you talking about this kind of stuff?
No, actually, I was received very positively, because the time I spent writing was time that I wasn't shopping. So my husband was very pleased about that. And no, I got a lot of encouragement when I decided to try to get the essays out there beyond my classroom. I did submit some for publication, and I have a nice fat little folder of rejections. But I vaguely knew about what blogging was and what blogs were, and I thought, well, if other people are, starting their own websites and doing that kind of thing, I said, well, maybe that's what I need to do. So, with a little help from a friend, I found somebody to help me, and I started my own website. And I needed to get people to come onto the website. So I took out my address book and wrote to all my friends and said, I'm doing this, and would you consider letting me sign you up to get these essays, and assuring them that they could unsubscribe at any time when they got sick of me. And that's how it started. And took a few years, but I built up a following. I got familiar with Facebook and Twitter, and through that, and again, the help of a marketing person, got a following in the thousands, which was very gratifying.
Wow, that's super exciting. Congratulations again. We do have another follow-up comment. Women are always symbols of strength. Yes, very true.
All right, you go, girl.
Yeah. So Susan, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, because you did mention this in your writing, is about your email address with AOL. And people look at AOL and they go, oh, what's that? By the way, I still have an AOL email address, by the way, which is my Apple. But
oh, I'm so glad.
you could have changed it, but you didn't. Tell us more about that.
Well, it's funny. I didn't realize that, when I started using the internet and started using computers and all that stuff, I probably started when I was writing my dissertation, which, by the way, I was a late bloomer. I didn't get my degree until I was 50 years old. But that was my introduction to computers. And AOL is what was there. They used to have these, you'd go into a store, and on the counter, even in your dry cleaners, there would be a disc, for AOL. It was free, and you took it and you loaded it onto your computer, and voila, you had AOL email. And it was all over the place. And it was in the beginning, it was what there was. So I started using it, and things evolved over the years, obviously. And you got Google, and you got Yahoo, and you got everybody else. And I even used Hotmail for a while, but I was getting all kinds of ads for sex devices, and so I tuned off that one. But and then all of a sudden, I see people are starting to react to my AOL like I'm some kind of dinosaur. It says, "What? You're still using AOL?" And I said, "Yeah. Why shouldn't I? Why should I change? What can Google offer me or Yahoo offer me in terms of, getting my emails to me and back, and, that AOL can't." So it's funny. It becomes like your birth certificate. It's like you have an AOL email, and everybody knows that you're not a young person, because no young people use it. They just don't use it. If you only use it for email, it doesn't cost anything. And that's pretty much what I do. I use it for email. I don't use it as my, I use Google as my search engine, and I use AOL as my email. I saw no reason to change. Absolutely not. Somebody tell me what Google or somebody else can offer me, and I'd be happy to consider it.
And to your point, it's a delivery mechanism. You get email, if somebody writes it, it gets to you, voila. What else is there?
Unlimited storage, just reliable. What else can I possibly want? So.
Exactly. I hear you. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, I'd love to have a couple things happen. I'd love to have you read for us. Are you able to do that?
Be happy to.
Perfect. And then I want to take a look around your website so that people can familiarize themselves with you and your work, and they can reach out to you. How does that sound?
Sounds wonderful.
Okay, fantastic. All right, thank you, everyone. Stay with us. We're going to take a break and hear from a couple of our sponsors, starting off with Diane Floyd Bame, and we'll be right back with Susan Goldfein. Stay with us. Bye.
Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to Story Garden. Your host, Diane Bame. I'm so happy to have you here today.
Diane Floyd Bame tells wonderful stories that warm the heart, spark the imagination, and unite people and families across generations. For children, Diane's Harry the Camel connects with all of us who've ever wondered how different our lives might have been if only we'd been born something better, like a wonderful horse instead of an ordinary camel. In the end, we all learn along with Harry that there's nothing better than just being yourself. Diane's Little Girl in the Moon looks down on earthbound children and wonders if they know she's just like them. A story of love, home, and the bond between mother and daughter, its powerful theme that we're each of us different yet all of us the same plants a seed in children that promises to blossom within a loving and trusting grown-up. Diane's new biography, Rise, recounts the experiences of her grandmother, Ruby, to reveal the hidden strength of the human spirit. Ruby's story inspires all of us to become the best versions of ourselves. You'll find all of Diane's delightful books and much more at dianefloydbame.com. Visit dianefloydboehm.com. That's dianefloydbame.com.
The session that we had with BCAT was really entertaining and enlightening. We were able to put together some very specific steps that we as individuals can take, and it was really fun to all come together and see sort of where we're going as a team and how we can all get there together.
We had a tremendous experience with the BCAT partners. One of the challenges that we have as an organization is to make sure that we have the right people in the right chairs doing the right thing. To do that well, you have to have synergy. You can try to dream up ways to make sure that your group does that, or you can rely on experts. We would recommend BCAT partners to anybody who's looking to take their organization to the next level.
Welcome back. Thank you to our sponsors. You are still watching or listening to USA Global TV and Radio. Our show today is Aging Gracefully with Humor. Thanks for staying with us. Our guest is still backstage. I'm always happy to see that. Welcome back to the program, Susan Goldfein. She is an award-winning humor writer. Hello.
Hello, I'm still here.
Yay! We're so glad that you're here. So I would love for you to read to us. That would be fantastic. So I'm going to spotlight you again.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to show off a little bit. Is that okay?
Of course, please.
Okay. All right. Actually, I have done 3 books, and they're compilations of essays that I have written over the years. Let me just show you the first one that I put out there. It was called, where I go, How Old Am I in Dog Years? And Other Thoughts About Life from the Far Side of the Hill. Before I actually read an essay, I just want to talk about where my inspirations come from and who inspired me. And there are actually three people, unfortunately, all of whom are deceased at this point, that give me my inspiration and make me work hard at this. One of them was Nora Ephron, who I just thought was a brilliant writer, brilliant sense of humor, has 2 essay books about aging that I can only hope that mine are half as good as hers. The other person was Irma Bombeck, who, very well-known, very famous woman who wrote about family mostly, and the humor in everyday family life. I mean, no one was protected. She wrote about her children. She wrote about her husband, and she wrote about all the little domestic things that drive us all crazy. The third person who inspired me was Andy Rooney. And for those of you who watch 60 Minutes, you'll remember him as the curmudgeon at the end of the show who for about a minute complained. I love that. I love that he complained. And he complained about the most ridiculous things. And so why not? I mean, his age gave him rights to do whatever he wanted. And I said, that's me. That's what I'm going to be. I didn't know if a woman could be a curmudgeon or it was just a man thing, but I figured I would give it a shot. So that led to my essays. The second book that I followed up with was called How to Complain When There's Nothing to Complain About. And again, it's more of my essays that I have written over the years. And as I said, a la Andy Rooney, they're full of, petty, but kind of funny complaints. The newest book that just came out, apropos to today's topic, is called Laughing My Way Through the Third Stage. And where the other books really didn't, they were about anything and everything that happens, at any time during the course of a day. This book was particularly devoted to the trials and tribulations of aging. And I noticed, Dr. JACALYN, that we wearing the same sweater or blouse on the cover of my book and the one that you're wearing today. I was going to say thank you for loaning it to me for the cover of this book. But this book was just released earlier this month, and I'm really proud of it. I think I've done a good job of giving us things to laugh about. So I will read from this latest one, since that is our topic for today. And since we did talk about the AOL, let me find the essay that I wrote about, is your email address telling on you? And bear with me and I will find it. Okay. This essay, as I said, is called, is your email address telling on you? Are you reluctant to share your age? Are you reluctant to share your email address? If you answered yes to the first question and no to the second and are an AOL user, you're screwed. According to the popular wisdom proffered by millennials and beyond, If AOL appears after the and sign, at sign, you are fat, over 80, a technology dinosaur, live in the suburbs, and probably have bad breath. I didn't actually read about the last one, I just threw it in. Furthermore, those brats claim that AOL users are clinging to an antique, are stuck in the 90s, and should never be taken seriously about anything because we are blithering idiots. And if you're looking for a job, don't dare indicate on your resume that AOL is your email account, or you'll never get your foot in the door, which isn't very relevant anyway if, in fact, you're over 80 and applying to work at Home Depot. Back in the day, if you wanted an email account and the ability to access the internet, America Online, it became AOL in 1991, was the major player. Their disk packages were everywhere, free for the taking. So we took. It was easy to set up an account, and soon the little yellow man was running across the computer screen, assuring you that your dial-up was working. That's when I began using AOL. I did have a free Hotmail account for a while, but at the time, true to its name, it flooded my inbox with enticing ads for penile implants, pills that would enhance my sexual prowess, ways to meet hot babes, and phone numbers to call if I was interested in a three-way in any combination of my choice. Eventually, Hotmail left me cold. Despite the fact that AOL email shaming is rampant, I refuse to be intimidated. So to people who say, why do you still use AOL? I say, why not? If something has been working for you for 20 years, why give it up? Why go through the trouble of changing, which involves contacting and updating every single person and entity that you know or have been doing business with for 2 decades? AOL has good security, adequate storage, spam protection. I like the interface. I can access email on all my other devices. Do I really need more? If someone invents an email account that vacuums the rug and washes windows, I might consider switching. So what if I'm accused of being stuck in the 90s? What's so bad about the 90s and so good now? Some wonderful things happened in the 90s, like the debut of the original Law and Order on TV. Seinfeld was hot, and so was The Sopranos. It was the heyday of Tiger Woods and Michael Jordan. Bill Clinton redefined having sex, and boom boxes were replaced by the Walkman. Okay, so we also had Celine Dion, Beanie Babies, and the Macarena, but you can't have everything. And best of all, the world did not come to an end with Y2K. And yes, I am very much aware that cooler alternatives to AOL do exist, like the very popular Gmail. But I find Google so pushy. They always want to know where I am and are constantly offering to store my passwords. Frankly, I think they're up to something. And what makes Google so cool anyway? Big deal that everyone shows up for work wearing t-shirts. And then there's Yahoo. But do I really want an email address that has the resonance of a drunken cowboy slapping his horse? Therefore, for now, I will stand up to the derision, keep my AOL, and will continue to take comfort from the disembodied but very familiar voice informing me that I've got mail. But I can foresee a time in the future, perhaps when I go to meet my maker, that I may finally have to switch. Because in heaven, the only choice could very well be the cloud.
Brilliant. I love that. So well written. And as you were going through that journey, I could relate to everything you were saying, even though I'm close to 60. Andy Rooney, Irma Bombeck, those 3 shows, they were my favorite shows. Law and Order. Are you kidding me? Amazing. So, and when you mentioned the other people in the 90s, who were they? Mariah? No, I don't remember because I couldn't identify.
The ones that, just Celine Dion. I shouldn't say it out loud, but we had Beanie Babies and we had the Macarena. Thanks.
That's right.
Yeah.
But see how at my age, I was relating to everything that you were relating to. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. So, I mean, we become cohorts, whether we like it or not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I love the way you wrote that and the flow of it, the way you put that story in there. It was so easy to follow. And I was waiting, go, yeah, tell me more, tell me more. So well done.
Thank you.
Thank you. So tell us about the cover. And I love how you mentioned I am wearing this in honor of what you were wearing there. Tell us how you decided on that cover.
Well, a number of years ago, someone suggested that I redesign my website. So, and they offered to guide me through making a better website. And I had, there was a professional photographer involved. That's why I look about, I don't know, half my age on this picture, because he was so good. He did a big photo shoot, and I had a lot of different photos to choose from when we redesigned the website. And when I decided to do this book, you notice with the other two books, I did not put myself on the cover. I had kind of, illustrations and a cartoon on the one that had a complaint. But I decided if I was going to talk about my own aging and the aging process, maybe this was time that I just put myself out there and put myself on the cover. I went back to him, and he happens to live in Florida, and all of this was done in Florida. I went back to him and told him that I was interested in doing a book cover. And he said, well, we have some beautiful photos still. And he had them all. And he basically designed this cover for me. And it was his idea to put the saying on the coffee mug, so far, this is the oldest I've ever been, which I thought was kind of amusing. So I thank Mel for designing this cover for me, and my publisher, who she modified the colors and, picked out the print, the typefaces, and that's how it came to be. So I said it's my third book, but the first time I'm actually revealing who I am. So.
I love that. Thank you so much. And I just want to share this with our audience. You can go right over to AOL and you can order Susan's book right here, which I'm going to be doing right after the show.
Amazon.
So, yeah, from Amazon. Absolutely. And we're going to take I'm sorry. AOL, I got in my brain now. Sorry. Amazon, everyone, go over to Amazon. We're actually going to walk through your website as well. I do have a question for you, because this has always been on my mind, something I've been obsessed with. I was getting fillers and Botox since I was 29, I think. And I've kind of cut back a little bit. I got the Botox here, but have you written about that, about fillers, cosmetic surgery?
Well, quite frankly, I've never done it. So I could, so I did not write about it, because I don't have the experience with it. I know plenty of my friends. I could get stories from them. But I did write about face creams and, going to a department store or some fancy, place where they sell expensive, cosmetics and things that are supposed to make you look 20 years younger overnight. And trying to figure out what would work for me, what I wanted, and discovering that all of a sudden so many of these products had food in them, that they were shea butter and all kinds of oatmeal. And, I said, what the heck, I'm going to go to my pantry, open the door, and just smear everything on my face. And so I did write about that. I did write about, and I also wrote about these. Well, in my case, it was somebody wrote me into a store on one day when I was walking on Worth Avenue, and it begged me to try his under eye anti-wrinkle cream. And he was very cute and very seductive. And I realized that the only reason he was paying any attention to me at all was because I was old, and he wanted to sell me this very expensive product, which I did not buy, by the way. But I could see where we of a certain age could definitely get roped into all of those promises. I said, just so, if you want a younger man to pay attention to you, just walk by a cosmetic aisle and for sure they will. So
that's so true, especially here I'm in Boca, but the town center mall, they have these really good looking guys who try to lure you in to try these different products. And we try them. We're like, oh, why not? He's paying attention to me. But of course, then they want you to shell out 300, whatever amount of money for the product.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, for sure. So let's take a look at your website, and let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, I'm over here on the website. There you are, looking great. So tell me where I should go here.
Well, you're on the home page now, and you can hit the tab that says blog.
Okay.
And that's where I write 2 essays a month that appear on this website. And if you scroll down, you probably see the last one that I did. Yeah, that's me. Photoshop on a young person's body. I wrote about old flames, remembering old boyfriends and what your life would have been like if you had married one of them instead of wherever it is you are right now.
Oh, that's great. And, we do start, as we get older, we do start to think about, should I get in touch with so-and-so if we're single? And it's interesting. It's great that you wrote about that.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Labor Day in white is still right. That's perfect.
Yeah. So I have a thing for, there's my dog.
Aw, what a cutie.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Lots of great information.
I have 10 years worth of essays out there. So, if there's plenty to read, and they're all there. As I say, I still write 2 a month, and they appear on my website. So, if you're on my mailing list, what happens is you get an email saying that there's a new essay. Click on this, and you can see it. This is where I push my books, and of course, the latest one, as I just said, devoted to aging, is Laughing My Way Through the Third Stage. And
by the way, Susan, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe one of your books, you had a testimonial from Willie Nelson. Is that right?
Yeah, 2 of them, actually. My first 2. Yeah, I didn't want to bother him this time for the third, but yes, he's. It's a long story. Well, I can make it a short story if you want to hear it.
I'd love to hear it.
Okay. Many years ago, I can't remember. I think part of the aging thing is that I'm very confused about when things occurred, but I just know it was quite a while ago. Willie Nelson. It was in the papers. He had a substantial tax problem. That the IRS, he had some tax shelters that he thought were legitimate, and it was an honest mistake. He was given bad advice. The Internal Revenue Service declared that they were not legitimate tax shelters and came after him for millions and millions of dollars of back taxes. And he was in big doo-doo. They were going to, take his famous guitar and his possessions. And I've always been a big Willie Nelson fan. And anyway, my husband, who was mostly retired at this point, was in the day a very well-known tax attorney. And another attorney who was Willie's attorney introduced him to my husband, and my husband was the one who got Willie out of the jam. And his whole tax episode is famous. It's, people knew about it. It was all over the newspapers. Willie has written about it in his biographies. In any event, that led to a business relationship with my husband that persists to this day, and a wonderful, wonderful friendship. And that's how I got Willie Nelson to endorse my books.
What a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that. It's fabulous.
He's a lovely, lovely human being. He's just a terrific person. So,
Should we give a plug for your husband or?
he's his name is Larry, same last name as me, but he's kind of retired at this point.
Right.
I think his relationship with Willie is pretty singular at this time. So I don't think he's looking for business.
All right, we'll just say hi to him anyway. Okay, perfect. All right, so I'm over here on your website still. Where else shall I go?
Well, then there's the news and events page, which talks about where I've been, who's written about me. This interview will go on that page.
Fabulous.
Yeah, so that's what's there. It's like every once in a while I'm called upon to speak somewhere, and every once in a while I get a write-up in a publication, and that all goes on there. I've done a few podcasts. They're on there, and that's what's there. And
There's a lot of great information here.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I write for a few monthly publications across the country that are geared toward the senior market. And there's one here in Florida that I don't write for anymore, but it's a West Coast publication called, what was it called? I forgot already. Life After 50, something like that. And my columns appear in Las Vegas. My columns appear in Ohio, and just different places. They love me in Montana. I just,
Well, you certainly have really let us understand wherever you live in the world, if we're blessed and lucky, we get to continue aging. And as that process continues, things change, things happen. And why not, like you mentioned about Andy Rooney, why not be able to express ourselves and bring joy and find the humor in it? So I'd love to ask you, as we come to the end of our show, what are some of the evolutions or changes that you personally have gone through that you've documented in your book that you'd like people to know so they can go out and pick up a copy?
I mean, actual aging changes or mental change?
Sure, whichever comes to your mind.
Oh, well, the aging changes have been many. Just forgetting about the obvious ones, like the wrinkles and a little bit of sagging and that kind of thing. But the other changes, that I've kind of dealt with, again, is true about, buying a product that was more expensive because it came with a lifetime warranty. And I said, well, I think I should get a discount because, my lifespan is not the same as somebody who's 40 buying this product. And anyway, and then there was a matter of dental work. I got bad news recently, relatively recently, that my teeth were going to fall out. And I kept pushing my dentist to say, well, how much time do I have before they fall out? And before I committed to this incredibly expensive dental work that was going to stop my teeth from falling out, I said, they're going to fall out in 5 years. They're going to fall out in 10 years. Of course, he couldn't answer me. He had no idea. So I said, am I going to get my money's worth out of this? It's just giving you thousands of dollars. And, I don't know. Am I going to outlive my teeth is basically what I was asking him. And he had no answer. And so I did it, but I really stopped to think about it. And then there was this other crazy experience where I went for, these global entry, trusted traveler things that enable you to get on the short line at the airport. And if, to rush you through immigration. Well, we thought we were still traveling. This was pre-COVID. And we were still traveling. And I thought, well, this would be very helpful. So we go to Fort Lauderdale, as it turned out, to immigration. And applied and were interviewed and whatever, and everything was fine until it came to the part where he had to take the immigration officer had to take your fingerprints. So my husband, no problem. It was all digital. They don't use an ink pad anymore. I wish they did, but they don't. It was a screen, and you put your fingers on the screen, and the reads your prints and all. Then came my turn. Put my fingers on the screen, nothing happens. Goes to the other hand, put my fingers on the screen, nothing happens. I go, what the heck? What's going on here? And tries a few times, and the device would not read my fingerprints. And he looks at my hand and he says, oh, well, your fingerprints have pretty much disappeared. I go, what? And he says, well, yeah, it happens to old people.
Oh my.
So this formerly very pleasant gentleman suddenly became an ogre to me. He says, what do you mean it happens to old people? Well, apparently it does to some, and it's not uncommon. And what happens is all the little crevices flatten out. So it's like nature playing a very dirty trick on you, because nature has given you wrinkles where you don't want them and has taken them away from where you need them. And that's exactly what happened. And the only way that the prints could be read at all was him applying lotion to the tips of my fingers. And that allowed the device to see what was left of the little markings. Who would have thought? I mean, really, who would have thought that one of the parts of aging is that you're going to lose your fingerprints, which opens up a whole new career opportunity, because you could become a burglar, and you don't even need gloves. You wouldn't leave any.
I was thinking that, Susan. I was thinking, oh my goodness. By the way, whatever that cream was, can we apply it to our face, or it doesn't work?
It was just ordinary lotion. It wasn't anything special. And he said I was going to have to carry it with me if I intended to use the machine, when I was going through immigration. Otherwise, it wouldn't read my prints. And sure enough, it did happen. That the darn thing went, and they, I had to go inside to an office. It was a whole thing. I said, I think I'm just going to go stand online. This isn't worth it. It's just not worth it.
Wow, what an eye-opening experience. And you mentioned that he used the word old, which I think is just so sad. We have people on this platform who are longevity strategists and experts, and they talk about what we need to do to live to be 150, 120. What are your thoughts about this? Do you have plans for going for the gusto? I mean, mentally, are you preparing yourself to live to be 150?
No.
Okay.
I don't think I want to be. I really don't. I really don't think about that at all. I'll take what life is going to throw at me. I don't think I would work at trying to live that long. I really don't. I just hope that, for as long as, I have, that I can feel as good as I do today, or as close as I can. I mean, yes, there are problems. I have arthritis. And I've had to stop doing certain things. Things I can no longer do. I was a terrible golfer, but I enjoyed it. I can't play golf anymore because I have this osteoarthritis in my elbows, and it's too painful to swing the club. And there's nothing to be done about it either. So I've had a shoulder replacement. But I've been lucky. I really have been lucky. I have no chronic illnesses, knock wood, or whatever, Formica or whatever this desk is made out of. And I would like to live as long as I continue to feel as close to the way I feel today as possible. That's really, really what I want. I hope when my time comes, and I hate using these expressions, then I'm ready. That's what I hope for. That I'm not going to be afraid, and then I'm not going to fight it. And then I just hope I'm just ready.
Very well said. Well, I hope you keep using your wit and your humor because it is so important. And I really feel like, just a quick side, as I mentioned my age, I have 3 chronic illnesses and I've given up so many things: caffeine, sugar, alcohol. I mean, you go on and on and on. I'm like, where's the joy? But I guess the joy is in the gratitude. It's in the affirmations of thank God for everything that I do have. And that's what I think we have to remember, that things will be taken away, whether we give them up voluntarily or they're just taken because of time. But having wit and humor is so important.
Yeah, talk about, I have 2 vices left in my life. One is my glass of wine with dinner, and the other is my 2 cups of black coffee when I wake up in the morning. Otherwise, I wouldn't wake up in the morning. And I tell my family that if you have to put me in a nursing home, just send it along with a note saying that this is what I require. That's it. I don't want to give that up. That's it.
Yeah, it's not a lot to ask, but I gave it up because of I have ulcerative colitis, but that's another story for another show. So I really enjoyed this time with you, and I hope you'll come back, whether it's on this show or one of our others. I think you are incredible, and I just love that you are writing from your heart. You're writing what's real and what's true, and yet giving us a different way of looking at things. And when we think of aging gracefully, why not age gracefully with humor?
Can I just quickly?
Yes.
Okay.
Please.
In laughing my way through the 3rd stage, in my introduction, there's a quote that I use. And the quote is from Diana Rigg, the actress, and who died in 2020. She had a long, very, very good career. And she was interviewed. No, she wasn't interviewed. There was an article in the New York Times about celebrities who died in a certain period of time. And this is a quote that was from her. And this is what I try to live by, and this is what inspired me to put this book together. She said, "The older you get, I have to say, the funnier you find life. That's the only way to go. If you get serious about yourself as you get old, you are pathetic." And that was from Diana Rigg, who lived well into her 90s. And appeared in the Game of Thrones, that whole series, as a much older woman. So
fantastic. Thank you again for closing out the show with that quote. Can you please share with our audience who's unable to read the banner or they are listening on a podcast, how do people reach out to you? What's your website address? How do they purchase your books?
Okay. All of my books are available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, other online booksellers, and in some actual Barnes & Noble's bookstores. And you can, my web address of where my blog is www.susansunfilteredwit.com. No punctuation, just a run-on. susansunfilteredwit.com. And you can read my essays, and it will enable you also to sign on to get future essays if you're interested in doing that. And that's where you can find me. And my email address is also on the website. So if you want to contact me directly, you can do it through the website too.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure and delight to be with you today. And please, thank you. And please keep up the great work. And again, come and see us on one of our other programs.
I will do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for now. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Please do reach out to Susan. Please go to her website. Please go to Amazon and purchase her books. We all need a good laugh and just a kind of a recalibration about how we're looking at things. Just a quick story. I think this is kind of funny. On the way down to Florida, it took 2 days to get there because my Mercedes, believe it or not, the tire blew out on I-95. Then the next day, the other tire blew out. Then the shock blew out. Finally got towed to the dealership with my mother with me, and they're they're doing all the service work. And in the back, on top of all of the clothes, was a big package of adult diapers that were for me because of my ulcerative colitis. And I went back to the service part. I was like, oh my God, I am literally mortified. But then I thought they probably think they're for my mom. Sorry, Mom. Anyway, we just have to laugh and find humor. So thanks for being with us today. Again, please do reach out to Susan. Our next show is coming up. It's What's Trending. And we're going to look at burnout strategies with health and wellness coach Rachel Boehm. So if you're familiar with Diane Boehm, whom we just ran her clip, she's one of our co-hosts here. This is her daughter, and she's got great things to share with us. Stay tuned. If you've missed any of our programming, go over to our YouTube channel, USA Global TV and Radio. You can find all of our shows. They're organized into playlists. Thank you again. We'll be back shortly. Bye.